Today, we are hopping in a vehicle and Urza is driving us. Yes, we are back with another Precon Mashup for Magic the Gathering Commander. These two Precons that we're mashing up today are going to be the Urza Iron Alliance and the Kotori Buckle Up Vehicles deck. From the MTG Thoughtcast, my name is Joseph, and you're watching Precon Mashups. Before we dive into today's deck lists, go ahead and check out the Discord link down in our bio where you can get direct access to all of us. You get advice on deck lists, memes, looking for games channels. It's the best place on the internet to be for Magic the Gathering. Join our Discord down below, and while you're down there, just go ahead and hit all of the buttons on the bottom of the video. It really helps us out with the algorithm and the robots liking us, and you'll see this face on your feed more often if you do that. Let's go ahead and dive into the two decks that we're mashing up today. Like I said, it's the Urza Iron Alliance from Brothers War and Kotori Pilot Prodigy? Kotori Pilot Prodigy from Neon Dynasty. So the Kotori deck is obviously a vehicle-centric deck, and Urza, Chief Artificer, is an Esper Artifact Creatures Matters commander. So this is a pretty obvious combination, but it's still pretty fun because it has the vehicle sub-theme in it. So let's go over some nuts and bolts real quick. There was 182 cards to pull from after removing duplicates, which all the duplicates were very, very good, and we kept all of them in the deck. It was things like Indomitable Archangel. You obviously had a bunch of duplicate lands, like all the artifact lands, so you get some different printings to choose from, whether you want retro bordered or modern bordered of those. 182 cards after duplicates, which we shaved down to 100 cards. Let's talk real quick about some of the things that we pulled from the deck. There was a Jace Architect of Thought that was in the vehicles deck that just does not need to be there. Some of the more notable exclusions is things like Urza's Ruinous Blast. We want to be playing board wipes for sure, and as a spoiler, there's quite a few board wipes in the finished combination of the decks, but Urza's Ruinous Blast is going to exile a lot of things of yours. So we want to get rid of that. There's a lot of non-artifact creatures in the cuts that you can see if you go to the Considering list on Moxfield. Shout out Moxfield. There's a lot of non-artifact creatures that we got rid of. Obviously, with having Urza in the command zone, you want to be having a ton of artifact creatures in play to take advantage of the affinity ability. So we sort of just got rid of, like, if it was a non-artifact creature, it had to be doing something really, really good for us in the deck, like Low Shield Clockwork Scholar. That's one that we decided to keep in because of the preventing combat damage and drawing cards. This is one of the most obvious includes. It helps a ton with vehicles, it makes sure that your creatures don't die, and it's going to draw you cards. So stuff like that. If there was non-artifact creatures, they have to be doing things like Low Shield in order to stay in the deck. Real quick, Urza, his ability, I guess I'll talk about him. It's a 6-mana creature, it's a 4/5, it has affinity for artifact creatures, so it costs 1 less for each artifact creature you control, and then at the beginning of your end step, you make a 0/0 construct artifact that gets +1/+1 for each artifact on the battlefield that you control. It's really strong. It's one of the biggest reasons to be playing black in this deck instead of just keeping it Azorius with Kotori. So, love Urza. He's going to make constructs at the end of every turn, and those constructs are very good at crewing vehicles. So is Urza himself, being a 4/5. So, being able to make these huge vehicles like Parhelion 2, you're just going to be able to crew that with Urza. Urza is a great reason to be playing Esper for this. One of the biggest reasons as well to be playing black in this kind of a deck is you get access to cranial plating, which you can't play in an Azorius deck because it has black in its identity. So being able to keep cranial plating from the Urza deck but attach it onto something like Parhelion 2 is massive, especially with Urza pooping out artifacts every turn. Your cranial plating is going to get huge. We also just get access to things like Baleful Strix, which if you're playing a blue and black artifact deck is just an auto include. So being able to include Baleful Strix is wonderful here. It doesn't crew vehicles well, but it's going to stop you from being hit. I have a Edward Kenway vehicles deck that I've been working on, and Baleful Strix is one of the best cards in the deck, just because when you're playing vehicles and you're tapping down a creature to make another creature that's going to tap to attack, you're now down 2 things that can block. So having things like Baleful Strix in the deck are just going to give you a little bit of defensive play. Couple of other things here. Like I said, we have a bunch of board wipes in the deck, which is another good reason to be playing vehicles, because until you crew them, they're not creatures. So we have Phyrexian Rebirth from the Urza deck. Just destroys all creatures and makes one big creature for all of the ones destroyed. So board wipe with a threat attached to it is always great. Organic Extinction is probably the best card in this deck. It's 8 white with Improvise for destroy all non-artifact creatures. So it's a one-sided board wipe that's going to be really, really cheap for you. Love that. And then Austere Command is just another great one. You can kind of pick which half of the mana value of creatures that you want to be destroying. This one's it's gonna be nice for you. So a couple of board wipes in there. We've left a lot of the interaction as well. So Despark, Dispatch, Generous Gift, Swords to Plowshares. That's sort of our interaction package. We have a few other things that are attached to creatures like the Weatherlight, or no, sorry, not the Weatherlight, Sky Sovereign Console Flagship. When it comes in, deals 3 damage to something. So we have more interaction in our deck that isn't just dedicated, but we've kept a lot of that as dedicated. Swift Reconfiguration is another great interaction piece here. You're going to play this defensively, you're going to play it on somebody else's creature that's going to turn it into a vehicle, or you could just play it on your own Urza and turn Urza into a vehicle, which still is going to make more of the, like, quote-unquote Constructs is what some people would call those. Makes Constructs on the end of your turn. That's going to stay, and it protects your Urza from being attacked or being destroyed by anything, or from your board wipes. It makes it an artifact. It's unbelievably useful, flexible, variable. Love Swift Reconfiguration. We've kept 36 lands for this. I was messing around with 37, but it just felt like I was drawing one too many lands. So down to 36, it made the cuts a little bit easier. This is one of the coolest things with doing the Precon mashups is you just get an unbelievable mana base because you've got 2 different ones to pull from and mash together. So we've kept all of the good lands from those. I'd like to get rid of the temples out of here. I'm just not a huge fan of the temples, especially in a more aggro deck like this, but I think the Scry is pretty valuable. And obviously we're working with just the 2 Precons. So last couple of thoughts on this. I think one of the big reasons to play this deck and to make this would be it's 2 pretty cheap Precons. Like, these are not Precons that have a premium attached to them. So for $80 maximum, you could probably get these cheaper than that. You could mash these 2 decks together and you're left with 100 cards left over that you can sell or build into a different deck or try something else out with. So that was one of the more fun things that I found when building this is it's a cheap one. Last couple of thoughts here. This deck is going to ramp really, really hard with all of the artifact ramp. We have 23 artifacts and 26 creatures in the deck, and 2 of those creatures each ramp. I've left in the Silver Mirror and the Gold Mirror because they are artifact creatures that will affect affinity for Urza. So there's a way in the deck to get turn 2 Urza, just as it is with the 2 Precons. If you get down like an Ancient Den or one of the artifact lands, play your Soul Ring, play Gold Mirror, or play Silver Mirror, the next turn you're gonna have 5 mana for Urza. So the goal is just get Urza out as quickly as possible. Also, getting out vehicles really quickly is going to be huge because then you can play Urza or you can crew those vehicles which still affect affinity for Urza, crew them with Urza, swing with them, and then make a blocker on the end step. And that can happen as early as turn 3, sometimes turn 4. You're just gonna be left with a huge board state having ramped a ton. So you're gonna come out the gate really strong. Now, Hubris is going to play a huge factor into playing this deck. Try not to get greedy when playing it. Make your vehicles, but you don't have to swing out with them every time. Otherwise, you're gonna have a target on your head from having a really strong start in the deck, and then also have no defenses back. So the goal here is to maybe use your vehicles as blockers or leave a couple things back. But again, Urza making the construct that's going to be huge is a really big play. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is the Urza's Hot Rods deck. I had a ton of fun making this one. If you have any other suggestions for Precon mashups or ones that you'd like to see or other content that you'd like us to make, go ahead and comment it down below. I love responding to all of the comments. So let me know what you guys are thinking, what you want to see next. This has been Precon Mashups. Thanks for watching.